All right. Good afternoon, everyone. All right. So first and foremost, welcome to the session, Supporting National Computer Emergency Response Teams for Improving Cybersecurity. I know that's a bit of quite a mouthful, but that's basically what the session is going to be about. My name is Adli Wahid. I work for APrIGF as a security specialist. And with me today are my friends from various national certs in our region, from Taiwan, from Bhutan, from Tonga, and from Thailand. And of course, they will introduce themselves after this. Before we get started, I just would like to provide a little bit of context on why this session is here today and what our intentions are. So I guess, as you may know, that one of the groups in such a meeting at regional IGF is the technical community. And within the technical community, you have the security community. And so we are pretty much representing the technical security community. And of course, throughout the conversation today, you will hear more about what they do and what challenges they are facing and maybe some of the issues that they would like to highlight and share with the other stakeholders in the internet ecosystem. So if you have been following the IGF, in 2014 and 2015, there was a best practice forum on establishing and supporting computer security incident response team, or CSIRTs, for internet security. So if you have time, I would highly recommend you to check out the IGF website and look at the outcome documents that was produced, which highlights, among other things, the role and responsibilities of CERTs and CSIRTs, issues that are facing the CERTs, the type of work that CSIRTs do, and of course, other relevant issues related to, things like combating cybercrime, privacy, and, providing assistance to people who are experiencing security attacks or security incidents. So that's basically the background of this discussion, and I thought that it would be very useful to have, such discussion within our region as well. And therefore, today we brought folks from the national CERTs. Of course, you have CERTs in enterprises, but I thought perhaps it would be useful also to get an insight on what countries are doing around our region. So the format for today's discussion will be in a panel discussion mode. There will be some questions given to the representatives. And I think most importantly is I would like to invite interaction, some interaction with all of you. I know it's late in the afternoon. People tend to get a bit sleepy. So, if we can get some participation, some questions, it would really make the trip for some of these people to come to our conference very worthwhile as well. Of course, your presence here is definitely appreciated. So without further ado, let's begin. But before that, I would like to show a video that we made at APrIGF with the support of ISOC on national certs. So maybe we can play the video.
Public and private data flows through thousands of different systems across many networks and countries. As the internet has grown and evolved, computer security incidents have become more common and more damaging, resulting in everything from simple service disruption to loss of income or even lives. Imagine that suddenly staff at your organisation can't open any of their documents, and you receive a message offering to decrypt the data, but only if a ransom is paid. Your organisation's computers are infected with ransomware. Your data, or that of your citizens or customers, might be compromised. This is a potential disaster. What do you do? Oh, good question. We all know who to call if there's a fire. Very few of us know who deals with computer security incidents like malware, identity threats, ransomware, or data breaches. The answer is a CERT, a Computer Emergency Response Team, or CSIRT, Computer Security Incident Response Team. Like a fire department, a CERT is a highly expert group of individuals, trained and ready to handle incidents. They operate at an organisational, industry, or national level to help coordinate the response to computer security incidents. They don't block trolls, recover lost passwords, or configure your home Wi-Fi. They don't spy on internet users, nor are they the police. But they do know how to handle computer security incidents and are your main point of contact for help. Working with other groups and agencies, they help to minimise damage to your organisation and your customers, and help prevent problems spreading. Many also help get your organisation protected and operational again. CERTs don't just protect you in times of trouble, they're also proactive. They provide advice and support on cyber threats and vulnerabilities. They monitor and share news of attacks or crime so organisations and businesses can be better prepared. They can run training for network operators, managers, educators and regulators on best practices, tools and technologies, and even run cybersecurity drills to test preparedness. Enterprise CERTs participate in national initiatives, which in turn join international collaborations to form a trusted contact network of computer security experts sharing information and know-how at every level. So what can you do to be better prepared? Find out more about the cybersecurity ecosystem around you. Find out whether your organisation participates in a CERT, and if not, establish a recognised point of contact. Join the APrIGF Academy Introduction to Cybersecurity course for free. Follow the APrIGF training resources and calendar of events to expand your learning. And finally, support your people. Encourage the engineers and technical staff who maintain your network to improve their cybersecurity expertise and knowledge.
All right, so we are done, so let's go home. That's all you need to know. All right, so I don't know what you think about the video. Maybe you can give me the feedback about it, but that will hopefully capture some of the gist of the discussion that we will be having about today, especially for those of you who haven't heard about the CERT. I think one point mentioned about the activities of a CERT there was doing cybersecurity drills, and I don't know how many of you participated in this morning's cybersecurity incident roleplay, where we did a bit of, what would happen in a security incident, and I think there were multiple times where people said, oh, let's get the help of a CERT. So let's get started with the first round of questions, and I think for this part, I would like to invite all of my friends here to perhaps talk a little bit more about the CERT, or the CERT that they are part of, and I think I will start with maybe Julie. and then we go
Okay.
to the end.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Julie Wang from Taiwan National CERT. Actually, our organization established in 2001, so it's from the really early time for the set up the CERT. And now we have around 100 employees in our org, and around 25 employees is to do the incident response. So we also known as a National Center for Cybersecurity Technology in Taiwan. Our constituency is for the government agency, and it also include the critical infrastructure in Taiwan. For example, we have 8 sectors. One is like transportation, medical, financial, high-tech park, and also the telecommunication. So this is our constituency. So we coordinate among the agency and relevant organization to identify the cybersecurity issue. We also provide a national information sharing and analysis center via the public and private partnership. Also, we're helping all the domain, the CI sector, to set up their own certs. We also formulate the cybersecurity regulation and guides for the public and the agency. That's what we do.
All right, thank you. And next.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very honored to be here, and I would like to thank APNIC and APrIGF for this opportunity to be able to speak in front of people who are committed to improve internet governance. I'm Sonam Chuki, and I am a member of the Bhutan Incident Response Team. And we are under the Department of Information Technology and Telecom, which is under the Ministry of Information and Communications. And unlike Taiwan CERT, we recently started, which was in April 2016, so it's only been about a year and 2 months. So in terms of capabilities, since we just started, we have very limited skills and capabilities, but we're still trying to solve incidences on a daily basis, and we're gaining a lot of experiences and also skills from regional experts like the APNIC and regional CERTs in the CERTs like Malaysia, Sri Lanka, and India. In terms of services, we have 4 main services. First is when our constituents report to us, we try to collect those evidences and detect malicious activities and try to provide mitigation solutions to them. Second is on a more proactive manner, we try to monitor government networks, not for the private sector, but specifically for the government sector. We try to monitor and then communicate and send them vulnerability warnings. And third is third and the most important part for the CERT is we try to coordinate between parties and the constituents in an event of computer incident or an attack. And lastly, we also do awareness to our constituents, especially in trying to bridge the gap between people who are not really aware of security and trying to get them to know security best practices. For Bhutan, for the last 4 years, I think in 2012, we only had around 18% of internet connectivity penetration. And in 2016, it's almost increased to about 80%, which is an exponential rise. So we felt a need to have a computer incidents response team that acts as a central point of contact. So that's where we are at, and fortunately, it's going well with a lot of support from the government. Thank you.
All right, Saya.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very honored to be here. Thank APNIC and APrIGF for making it possible for me to be here. I think, first of all, I must try and explain about Tonga, because probably most of you haven't heard of Tonga. If you look in Google Maps in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, the characters are bigger than the countries. The population is 103,000. The mobile penetration is 53%, and the internet penetration is 40%. I was talking with one of the carriers last week, and he mentioned that 60% of their data traffic is Facebook traffic. So Facebook is very popular in Tonga. The CERT has only been 1 year. It was launched in July 2016, July last year, with a vision to create a safe and secure digital environment for the Kingdom of Tonga and its citizens. Currently, we do, similar to the other CERTs, we do proactive services for our constituents, doing awareness, vulnerability assessment and advice. We also do incident response, and where we advise the constituents on how to address the incidents. We also do advice and analysis, and also forensics for the local police, because they currently do not have that capacity and capability. Thank you.
Martin?
Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bangkok. My name is Martijn van der Heijden. I work for Thai CERT, the national CERT of Thailand. As you can see, I look Thai. My wife is Thai. We have been operating since 2000, so that's 17 years already. Before, we were part of NECTEC University in Thailand, and we moved to a new organization 6 years ago, which is called the Electronic Transactions Development Agency, which is under the Ministry of Economy and Society. We do pretty much the same as everybody in this table, certainly the same as Taiwan. One of the things we focus on most now is training new teams, because Thailand is a large country, and even though internet is quite common in Thailand, there's certainly only one CERT team at the moment, and that's us. We need more CERT teams, especially in the critical infrastructure. We need more people involved in security. It's difficult to find people, but we are working hard on training people ourselves. We do a lot of awareness to help people fight and combat incident problems. And of course, we coordinate with all the security groups in the world, like shown in the video from Atlee. So that's it.
All right, okay, so I think there's a lot of diversity in terms of, how the age of the teams. So we have, very established teams like Thai CERT and Taiwan CERT, but still, facing some challenges there. And then we have the newer teams like Bhutan and Tonga as well on the table, which makes this discussion very interesting, I think. So the next thing that I want to move to is maybe talk a bit about, zoom in a little bit more on the challenges as a security organization in dealing with, the threats that people from all sectors, be it critical infrastructure or civil society or the financial sector, threats that they are facing today. So what are some of the main challenges that you are seeing, and maybe also highlight how do you overcome them, if possible. So maybe I'll start from the other end now, with Martin.
All right. One of the biggest challenges for any national CERT, or indeed any CERT at all, even in corporations, is letting people know you're actually there. People need to know that your team exists, and especially if you tell them, for example, for a national CERT, we tell on TV, we tell on the internet, and the response generally is, so what? You have a CERT. Oh, okay, is that interesting? I don't care. So you need to bring a message, what you can do to help the people. Why is it relevant for them that you are existing? How can you help them? What can you do for them? So you need a different kind of message, and you need to tell it more broadly than just on a single channel. Just a quick example. Like I said, we've been operating for 17 years already. Until 3 years ago, the FBI, for example, didn't know that we exist. There was the Sony case. You may have known the Sony case, big infiltration in Sony of America. Did you know that the operation was actually operated from a hotel in Bangkok? I picked up a signal from the FBI who asked for people in Thailand who could maybe help them. So I called them and I said, maybe we can have a coffee because we've been here for a very long time and you still don't know us. And we started a relationship. But it's the same for any other organization you work with. Like Atli said, we are part of a wide group of people involved in anything to do with internet, not just security. You have to work with everybody. All the teams have to work together. And if they don't know you exist, then it's very difficult to set up a relationship. That's the biggest challenge for all. Even your team may be the best in the world, but if nobody knows you exist, then you still can't do much good.
Thank you, Atli. For myself, in the early days, I think political will was one of the main challenges. It was quite hard for us to convince the leaders or the management to put that we do need a national cert together. It just so happens that with this current government, one of the ministers has a ICT background, so he was leading the charge to establish the national cert. But I think in most countries it would be quite a challenge to convince the leaders that you need such a body in place.
Right, so like I mentioned earlier in my introduction, the challenges we currently are facing is lack of expertise within the team, because we just started. And with the lack of expertise and capabilities within the CERT, with that comes a lack of trust from the constituents and the community as a whole. So they think that you are not capable enough to handle big incidences. So that's a big issue at the moment. And also, since the people have started to use the internet, there are illiterate people who do not know how to type in English, but still use apps that use English as a language, so such as the WhatsApp or the WeChat. There are lots of people who use those apps and internet as a whole, but who do not understand the security issues that arise from it. So that's a big concern. Yeah.
The challenge we found right now, it's like cyber threats is more and more serious. It's not only tied to the government agency. Recently, it's tied to the like public transportation systems or the water and energy services. So in Taiwan, government has the initiatives in this year. We try to promoting all these critical infrastructure sectors to set up their own domain CERT team and ISAC, and also the Security Operation Center by themselves. So as the national CERT, because some of the sector, they don't have all those experience or the budget or they lack of the human resources. So this year we published the guidelines for them to how to set up those three things for them. And we looking forward, they will build up all those things in 3 years. That's the recent challenge we have in our organization.
All right, thank you. I think there were some interesting points being raised by some of our friends. So before asking further, I was wondering, amongst us in the crowd here, how many of you have actually interacted with a CERT in your economy or in your country? Okay, one,
two only, three.
2, 3, all right. How many of you have not dealt with a CERT then, I guess, or have no need to? The rest? Yeah?
No need. No need. Ouch.
How many of you have never heard of this term before today? Cert, like certificate, or what are you talking about? Yeah. Okay, so, okay, maybe I have another question as well for all of you. How many of you have certs within your own organization, like a security response function or security incident response function within your own organization? Of course, yeah, okay, a couple. All right, so I thought of, before going to the next couple of questions, does anyone here have any questions or have any feedback on some of the things being discussed so far? Yes, please. Yeah.
sorry about my English, but I speak Thai. To translate โอเคเห็นว่าทุกประเทศก็ต้องน่าจะมีการทำเป็นด็อกิเมนต์หรือเป็นเอกสารเพื่อแจกจ่ายให้ถึงประชาชนให้เยอะๆเรื่องประเด็นนี้เพราะว่าการที่ต้องมามีความรู้เรื่อง Cyber Security เนี่ยจริงๆแล้วผมเห็นว่าไม่ใช่เฉพาะระดับหน่วยงานใหญ่ๆหรือรัฐบาลหรือหน่วยงานเอกชนเท่านั้นนะครับผมว่าคนทั่วไปจริงๆแล้วก็ต้องควรน่าจะรู้เรื่องนี้มากๆเพราะว่าเท่าที่ผมไปสังเกตมาเนี่ยความรู้พวกนี้ของคนทั่วไปเอาเป็นในประเทศไทยเนี่ยอ่อนมากผมก็เลยคิดว่าถ้าเราให้ความรู้เรื่องพวกนี้ให้เขาเข้าใจง่ายๆแม้กระทั่งคนทั่วไปก็ต้องมีการระวังมากขึ้นคือพูดง่ายๆคือคนทั่วไปก็ต้องระวังเพราะว่ามีข่าวเกี่ยวกับคนทั่วไปที่ไม่รู้จักเรื่องพวกนี้เนี่ยแล้วเกิดอันตรายขึ้นมาอย่างเช่นบัญชีธนาคารที่เวลาทำออนไลน์แบงกิ้งโดนแฮ็กไปหรือว่าโซเชียลมีเดียอีเมลโดนแฮ็กแล้วโดนเอาไปรีเซ็ตพาสเวิร์ดใส่เข้าไม่ได้แล้วข้อมูลในนั้นโอ้โหก็โดนแฮกเกอร์เอาไปเลยประมาณนี้ครับ
So hi, I'm actually an interpreter inside the booth, and it's supposed to be simultaneous, but I see that you don't have the headsets.
Okay.
So anyhow, so the question was, I think there should be a better documentation process or some form of awareness raising material so that the public are aware of CERT, because sometimes some of the events are related to everybody, and for example, the financial crimes. And if I myself do some banking transactions, and what happened is that it happens at that exact moment, and I don't know who to contact. So if you publicize your existence in the country, that would be most useful.
Yes. All right. Can we? Oh, sorry.
Okay, give me 5 seconds to run back into the booth.
Okay.
And about security in the people device such as smartphone, tablet or PC is a lot of normally people is not protect from cyber security is such as not update antivirus, not update web browser or operating system. Okay, thank you.
All right. Maybe we take another question, then we can respond to that, or yeah. Okay, that's fine. All right. Just remember the question. Yes, you have a question at the back. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Noman. I'm from the Vanuatu Regulators Office. Just a question with CERT. The acronym itself, it's kind of a computer emergency response team. It's kind of technical, you know. So my question is, what type of skill set should be in the CERT? Technical or administrative people, accounts, or the combination of a CERT? What does the CERT consist of? Thank you.
Okay. All right. Let's do the first one first. Can we do the two questions first, and then we go to you, so that we don't forget? So, who would like to take the first question about? Yes, Martin.
Well, the point raised by the gentleman is exactly what I mentioned about if people don't know that you exist, then how can you help them? We need to communicate better that we exist and what we can do. We have a Twitter feed, for example, in Thai, and we try to see how many people are reading what we post. We post every day about advice, awareness, things that are going wrong in Thailand, or for example, outbreaks, WannaCry, NonPetya. We post it online, and we see that the reach of how many people read what we post is still very low. So we need to find out how we can reach people better. And that's, like I said, our biggest challenge. I'm not really sure, maybe we should go out to universities more, for example, to reach the younger generations. Maybe that's what we should do. We sometimes give lectures at universities. I've done it in Mahitaladhibesra University last year. Maybe we should visit every university or find other channels how we can reach all the Thai people. Same for people in other countries, of course. I don't really know the answer yet. It's difficult to reach people.
Maybe Sona Mosiah can share what are the efforts to get the community know about the CERT and the services offered by the CERT?
Thank you, Adli. For us, we in Tonga we do some awareness, like sending out advisories through the media when WannaCry hit, and also the NotPetya. But even after that, when we have all this, we come across some vulnerability reports when we approach those organizations and ask them, oh, have you heard about CERT before? And they said no, they haven't. So I'm not really sure how. I think one of the reasons could be that they don't really care about CERT until something happens, and then, oh, what was that group again? What do they do again? Maybe they can help me. I think that's part of why they're not interested, because they think that they'll never need the services of CERT.
Do you have anything, Sona?
So in addition, the type of awareness that we currently are undertaking is we're trying to connect with the regional people and the people in the villages and the districts, local districts. So the Bhutan CERT members, we have tried to go around 7 districts, currently around 7 districts, trying to create awareness that the CERT is there to help you out. And we are also trying to share vulnerabilities information on our website and Facebook and our Facebook page, because that's where the community is more interested. They try to visit the visit Facebook more than they do websites. So I think that's a good recommendation for the community and for new CERTs, emerging CERTs.
All right, thank you.
Yes, I agree with Sona. I think use the social media will be really popular and useful. For example, during the ransomware, the CERT can publish the guidance or something like information about that in their own languages. And also, if Twitter is popular in your country, also a good way to promote the organization, what CERT is.
All right. I'm going to take the second question that was asked about the technical skills. What technical skills are required, right, within a CERT? So maybe Martin again?
Well, the question is, what skills do you need? If it's only technical or administrative skills, the complete set. It really depends on the services you are offering as a CERT. If you are only doing incident response, then you need technical people to deal with incidents or do forensics or analysis. If you do other services as well, for example, awareness raising, then you need people who can talk in a way that everybody understands. Technical people talk technical words. Nobody understands them. So you need people who are good speakers, for example. Maybe you need people who can create nice graphics, so all the reports that you push out look good. If I look in our own organization, we have many different skills. We have the technical people for incident handling. We have technical people for digital forensics, very, very good people. We also have public speakers. We have the graphics team, but we also organize conferences, for example. That's another service a CERT can do. So you need people who can do all the logistics, communication, etc. It really depends on what services you offer as a cert. As a starting cert, you probably only do incident response, so you need technical people to begin with.
Julie, you have something to add?
Okay. Yeah, I think because our cert is already established in more than 10 years. I remember at the beginning, we only do the incident response services. So we have the people who can do the malware analysis, and we also have a digital forensics team. I think that's it. And then after a few years, we got the botnet teams, and now we have a big data to do the data analysis. But I think right now the people can talk to the public and do some communication, and marketing is really important because of the things is like big issues. All the media or the reporter will call certs to. You need some people to really can respond to the public. And also we have also the legal department to deal with the legal issues.
All right. I'm going to take 2 more questions. I see 2 hands being put up. Oh, hang on.
Oh, many.
We'll do 2 first. All right. Yourself and then the lady at the back. Sorry? Okay, so you guys decide. Okay.
My name is Bikram Shrestha. I'm from Nepal. My simple question, what are the proactive and reactive initiation should be implemented in short?
Okay, all right, we'll take it up. Thank you. And then at the back, yeah?
Same team. Same team.
No, I mean,
Hi, my name is Shuchita. I'm from the Center for Communication Governance at the National Law University, Delhi. I had a couple of questions that I was curious about, and I missed a couple of minutes, so I'm sorry if I'm asking something that was covered. So the first, I was curious about the mandate that your national certs have. What sort of incidents trigger reporting requirements, whether there's mandatory reporting for some and otherwise optional reporting. And second, I was curious about the upcoming threats you see and the sort of measures you're taking to prepare yourselves for them. Thank you.
okay, that's interesting. So I think can we take the questions first, then we go? Sorry about that. First one, we hear a lot about reactive and proactive services. What do we actually mean by that? Who wants to take that one up?
It's actually very similar to the fire brigade. What we do is we stop the fire. So someone is attacked, we try to stop the attack, and we try to analyze what is happening. If someone hacks your website, we try to find out how did they get in, for example, and try to fix it. So that's the reactive part. And similar to the fire brigade, we also have proactive. What can you do so you do not get hacked? You need to do patch management. You need backups, etc. And maybe you need to take several measures, antivirus, firewalls, things like that. We can advise about that to make sure you don't get an incident. That's the proactive part. Awareness in general is something we do. And we also try to train people how to write better software. Most of the breaches we see are SQL injections, etc., technical terms. And it's the same problem every single time. Websites are hacked, it's always SQL injection, always. Well, almost always. So what we try to do, we have classes to teach about secure coding. How can you make an application or a website so that it's not vulnerable? That's also proactive, how to make better software. Well, there are many different types of services, about 30 or 40 that you can do as a cert. Of course, there's no reason to do all of that, because then you would need 1,000 people in your team. But in general, yes, it's incident response and also prevention of incidents, similar to the fire brigade.
Anyone else want to chip in to that one?
Maybe just a joke.
Okay.
Like the fire brigade, like when a house has been burnt, they're not expected to rebuild the house straight away, which is sometimes expected from the CERT team. And also with fires is sometimes some of them are accidental fires, whereas what CERTs respond to is always deliberate.
All right. Okay. We take the move on to the second question. Just now that we had about mandate of the national CERT and whether or not there is mandatory reporting, and also maybe quickly on what are the upcoming attacks. Maybe just mention that you see. So I think we can go one by one. Maybe with Taiwan, what mandate or if there is a mandatory reporting.
Actually, we have the mandate from the cabinet. So, but still, if we want to go the site, we still need to call the law enforcement to do that. That's we usually do to handle the case.
Or maybe also mention the scope as well, like what sort of things that you cover, and
like one case is like we found the IoT device, the malware like Mirai, because we have a lot of like manufacturing to do the IoT devices. So we found a site. It's in the college. So in that case, we cannot go there with the like still our national CSIRT, but we cannot approach the personal computer. So we call the law enforcement to go to the site with us, and we found there's a lot of like infections and other CNC in other countries. So we also reported to 30 other national CERTs worldwide in that case.
Okay, so for Bhutan, we have a national mandate that has been signed by the cabinet and the Prime Minister. As a national CERT, we look after the government network and the community and the private sector and critical infrastructure as a whole. But as a government, currently our government mandate is to monitor government networks and see if there's any vulnerabilities. We try to share the information with the constituents. But the monitoring is only limited to the government networks, not much with the private sector. And for the country as a whole, the national mandate is to represent the country for any cybersecurity issues in international forums and communities. So the next question is, who do we report to? So since we are under the Ministry of Information and Communications, we report to the Minister of the Ministry, who in turn reports to the Minister and to the Prime Minister and the Cabinet. And as such, we do not have any formal reporting mechanisms in place, but as of now, we have the annual report, which we have already shared in our website. So, yeah.
For the Tonga National CERT, our mandate was a cabinet decision for our proactive and reactive, but for our assistance to the police is covered under the Computer Crimes Act, which gives the police the right that they can seek assistance of someone from outside the police to help them. And yeah, and that's how we collaborate with the police.
In the case of Thailand, it's very similar. We have the mandate from the cabinet, and the agency that we are operating under was established by a royal decree a couple of years ago. But the mandate we have is only advisory. Similar, I think, for all the other people. We cannot force anybody to do anything. We can advise them, please patch or please clean up your website because it's defaced. If they don't want to do it, well, it's up to them. We cannot force them. This is changing, especially for critical infrastructure. A new law was passed end of last year that critical infrastructure has to do security. So they have to set up their own teams to fill out some role in cybersecurity, but it's not yet clear exactly what our mandate is going to be in that respect. We are going to help them. We are advisory. That was one part, and what was the other part?
There was another one on what upcoming attacks, if you want.
Oh, and reporting. We report, our agency reports to the Minister of Digital Economy directly. Upcoming attacks, or so many things are upcoming. We see, well, before there was one attack every couple of months, a big event. We see them every week at the moment. If you look in the news, we had WannaCry 2 months ago, and then 1 month later already we had NotPetya. We get signals already that new alerts, new attacks are already starting. So before it was every couple of months, now it's every month. Later it will probably be every day, big events, because there's so much bandwidth on the internet available to everybody, not just to universities or companies, but individual users at home. You have 4G maybe, that's very fast. You can launch very big attacks already. And it's only getting worse with more Internet of Things appliances at home, which are terribly insecure. We see bigger and bigger attacks. And well, if you remember, last year there were a number of very large DDoS attacks caused by Mirai on the DIN infrastructure, for example. Attacks such as that, if they were launched in Thailand, the entire country would be offline with just one attack, because the attack is so big that we cannot deal with it as a country. If you launch that attack on just one organization, you don't hit that organization, you hit the entire country. So that's very dangerous, and it's getting worse, the problem. And it can happen already. So we've been lucky so far.
All right. So I've been reminded that we have 15 minutes left or less, maybe. But I know there's a lot of questions from the audience. I just want to ask one more, and then we can open up for for questions from the audience. So one of the questions that I have is perhaps what are some of the misconceptions about the certs in your day-to-day operations and dealing, or in your experience? Maybe some of you can talk a little bit about that. Or maybe that is why people do not really approach you or do not recognize that they have to, seek assistance from you, perhaps.
Thank you, Adli. I think some of the misconception is that we are the government's secret service, that we intercept all the traffic and see what they're doing. The other, I have an interesting story actually. Just after the Tonga Cert was launched, there's this website that has been critical of government. And I guess for that month, for some reason, they didn't pay their monthly bill. And so the account was suspended. And then I read on Facebook that everyone was saying, oh, this is the new cert. They must have taken down the website. But it was actually the people not paying the monthly subscription. So yeah, there's a lot of misconception around, because we are from the government. They think we're doing all this stuff, and not understanding that we are there to help. That's our main purpose.
Anyone else would like to add?
Well, similarly, what we see in Thailand is that people, if they know we exist, they think that we might be involved in lawmaking as well. What we see since about a year and a half ago, there was discussion about single gateway in Thailand. People think that ThaiCert is responsible for that. We're not involved in any way. We don't do policy, we don't make laws. We are not the police either. We are here to help you, not to block you. So misconceptions is what kind of work we do. But we are really here to help other people.
Sonam, did you want to say something?
My point is similar to what Martin has just mentioned. It's to do with the role of the CERT, and the misconception is that the CERT has to do everything that's slightly related to cybersecurity, like acts, the policies, standards, everything has to be handled by the CERT. That's one of the misconceptions. And also, the constituents, they try not to share information with the CERT because they think that's going to cost their reputation, and they think that these information, we are going to put their names on the annual report. So that's one of their concerns. And also they have a feeling that, if I have to share one of my experiences during our awareness campaigns earlier. So one of the community people, he stood up and told me that his mobile banking service had cut some few amount from his account, and then he wanted me to fix it. And he said, "You're the experts now, you should fix, tell me why my few amount was deducted from my account." So that's some of the misconceptions that they have about CERT.
All right. Yeah, Julie?
Okay, I agree at the beginning. People think we are kind of like secret services for the government. But I think trust is really important, how to build up the trust between the stakeholders. What we do is we set up a fusion, like the ISAC. The center is not only, it's like information sharing and analysis center. It's not only machine to share the indicator, threat indicator. We host a face-to-face meeting every quarters. So our stakeholders include private sectors like MSSPs, ISPs, and also the law enforcement, the government sector, and the people from the academia. So people come to the meeting to share the real cases and how to deal with it. And also the national CSIRT also share a lot of different information. So people will feel our organization is really help. It's not only ask people to report incidents. We really share the useful information and the ways how to deal with the cyber issues.
All right, thank you very much. We don't have that much time, but let's get the questions or feedback before we wrap up. Yes, one hand here.
Hi, my name is Ananta and I'm from India. So the Indian government in its latest budget recently introduced something called as the FinCERT, financial cert. So I wanted to understand, and there's not much information available right now at the moment. So I was trying to understand if such a setup exists in one of your countries. And apart from thinking that it's something which is going to monitor and secure payments online, digital payments, what is the other thing that a FinCERT might do? And the second question that I have is, could you please share some basic preventive measures that a user should take to secure their devices? Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any other question? I thought I saw many hands up just now. Anyone else? Yes. Please, yeah. Question or feedback? Yeah.
Actually, it's just my comment, I guess. It's not a question.
Yeah.
My name is Thong Chai. I'm from ETDA in Thailand. I just want to point out that actually when we are talking about CERT, they have very small personnel, limited resource, and usually when you compare, the perpetrator could be anywhere. They could attack at any time. You may be sleeping, but a perpetrator from the other side of the globe attacking you. And normally, I think that's the problem that a lot of CERT say that, okay, they have so much work to do every day. They have to work in shift just to cover the entire 24 hours. And the second point I'd like to make is that for someone who may not know so much about CERT, you can look up on the search engine, type in CERT or CSIRT plus your country, and you'll find out who is the main leader in your country. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Maybe one more question or feedback? Yes, please.
Okay, this is THL, make it short. I think one of the scenarios that we're seeing right now is the situation in Ukraine, because it's got attacks from unknown countries on a daily basis. So a lot of them, their critical infrastructures are being affected by a lot of the incidents in recent times. I'm wondering that if you are seeing a trend of that kind of scale of incidents in Asia Pacific as regard to attacks to critical infrastructure, and how do you define CIs in these days? Because with the penetration rates of internet, it's going to something like just home appliance or even power station, water supplies, whatever, with the notion of IoT going on. Are we seeing a trend there in Asia Pacific as well? I'm not sure. Yeah.
All right, so I think I would like to invite all of you, maybe one by one, to maybe respond to some of the comments or questions being asked. First one was FinTech, FinCert, Financial Sector Cert.
Well, that's a development we're seeing in many countries already. In the US, for example, we have a financial ISAC, same in Japan, FS ISAC. In Thailand, we are currently setting it up as well, a sector-based cert for the financial industry. We are almost ready with them to launch the cert. And we see the same in other countries as well. When they start expanding, you first only have the national cert. If they start expanding into the critical infrastructure, they always start with finance, which is a good thing. So yes, it is something many other countries are doing as well, including Thailand.
Why is it useful to have a sector-based cert? Maybe you can expand a little bit on that.
Well, you need, ideally, you have a security team in every single company or every single organization. But that's not going to happen very quickly, because if you have, for example, 1 million companies in your country, that means you have 1 million teams. Well, there are not enough people in the security industry to fill the positions for 1 million organizations. So what we're trying to do now instead, in the meantime, is set up a cert team for each sector, because there are only, well, depending on your country, between 8 and 12 critical infrastructures defined. Finance is one, transportation, ISPs, etc., telecommunications. So if you start with only 12 teams at the most, you can still find people to fill it in. And then once you have a financial sector, then every bank that is connected to the sector has more time and more support to set up their own teams internally. So it's just starting from country to sector to organizations. It's just to make the process easier. And finance, well, that's of course the most important for your economy. So that's why we start there.
We probably can skip the basic preventative methods, because that's going to take a long time, I think. And these people can go on and on. We have 2 more minutes. I would like to go to the question about attacks in Ukraine, like, large-scale attacks that are large-scale in nature, and whether or not this is also applicable for in our region. Somebody can maybe talk a little bit about targeted attacks and things like that that might be useful for our audience. Anyone?
I'm not really seeing so much of those in Asia at the moment, or ever so far. We have DDoS attacks, of course. Every country has DDoS attacks, but none the size of what we see in the last year in the US or in Ukraine. A number of years, that was an interesting incident. The entire Ukraine had an attack that blew away the entire country from the internet, similar to what I said it would happen to Thailand. At that exact time, there was a conference, and many security people were at that conference attending from many countries. And when the attack launched, all the security teams worldwide worked together to try to solve the incident. It was very, very good exercise. and we were able to fix it. But I'm not sure what will happen if something of that size happens in one of the countries in our region. We do try to exercise for those kind of events. We have an annual drill, for example, from the AP CERT, the Asia Pacific CERT, where all the national CERTs in Asia Pacific are connected. We try to test if something like that would happen, can we deal with it as the entire region? So we are prepared for it in terms of process. We are not really prepared in terms of equipment because, well, you need very expensive equipment to combat DDoS attacks, and we're out of time.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, I think that's all the time we have today. I'm sure that it would be a lot nicer if we had more time, but I hope that this session was helpful, at least for you to start thinking about the different type of interaction you can have with the CERT, or have some awareness of what national CERTs do on a day-to-day basis. Please talk to our friends if you need more information. And once again, I would like to thank all of them for being here today, and I would like to thank all of you for participating and for asking questions and giving feedback. So thank you very much, and I hope you have a good day today. Yeah.